Alright, welcome everyone once again to another exciting installment of Pinballs with the Master of Ceremonies. Tonight the Master of Ceremonies will be Hocus. Say hello to the fine people.
Welcome everybody, this is Hocus 7. What will we be exploring today, Jasper?
I don't know, Hocus. I think that this table is throwing me a curveball. It's just insisting I play this one. But if memory serves, this one still is just being a mite bit uppity and does not want to comply.
Game paused.
So we are going to leave that one.
Single
We're
player
going back
and
to a simple table that I know
my
and I
collection.
trust. With a good, honest fisherman
Single player and hot
who's
seat.
just trying to reel in his catches and just wants to see his kids again.
There's something about being what you dress as, wearing your colors. Something about, if you dress like a fisherman, be a fisherman. I watched a movie one time called The Warriors. I don't know if you're familiar with it at all or heard anything. We got some very famous quotes, like everyone's always heard the Warriors come out and play.
Oh yeah, that's the one where the guy has the 3 beer bottles in his fingers. He's just clinking them together.
Exactly. So let's invest into this timepiece, the Warriors, for a minute here. So this is like 1970s. Imagine, are you familiar with like gangs of New York, where like everybody's in a gang?
I'm familiar, roughly. I've never. You know what? Let's just assume I'm not.
Okay. So it's 1970s. We got our a little bit of funk going on, some hip hop introducing to the beats and everything. You got your cool like style radio hosts with the velvety voice announcing stuff all the time. People, the colloquial language is look out for them boppers heading on 6th Street this evening. They're up to no good, so all of you get in your homes and play it safe. Just velvety talk like that.
Oh, I love that trope. I love that trope of like in a Clockwork Orange, where you've got just a sort of breakdown of society and all these different gangs with their made-up cyberpunk terms for everything, like glossies or eyes.
Yes, exactly. This is the kind of world that this is. It's set in New York. And you got gangs everywhere, left and right. Everybody stays true to their colors. Your gang wears an outfit. Like, you might be one of the baseball furies, and you wear a baseball getup, baseball hat, and fucking run around with a baseball bat. You might be one of I forget the gang's name, but they're the roller skaters, and they all wear overalls and roller skates.
wait. I get the roller skates, but the overalls. You may have lost me with that one.
I mean,
not with the idea. I'm sure they're handy. There's lots of pockets, but I just don't see. You don't see a lot of figure skaters wearing overalls.
I don't know if you've ever been pantsed while skating. It's a serious detriment to your ability to do anything. With pants on your ankle, you can't skate properly. I mean, unless you specialize in that, but I'm sure you have to sacrifice your ability to see or swing a bat or some shit to be able to skate with pants on your ankles.
That would be a great new segment.
Overalls prevent that, I would say. Overalls are nature's gift to humanity to avoid pants falling down. Some people would argue belts, but I feel like an overall is a double belt system. This music is perfect for this overall pitch.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like this fisherman needs a nice set of overalls, but that's more of a people of the land and the ice.
You can tell that this fisherman drinks beer while fucking fishing because he doesn't wear overalls. The fishermen who don't drink, the pot smoker fisherman's the one that has the waterproof overalls. He puts his pot in there. He doesn't want to get it wet.
That would probably be the best drug of choice for fishing, because that would leave you content to just wait for hours on end.
Here's the problem with fishing and drinking. Like, as much as I enjoy it, is like you get to the point where you might knock your cooler over and beer floats. And so you're going to be jumping out of your boat to try to fish the beers out of the water. That's a mess that a drunk person shouldn't be getting into. It's just safer to smoke pot on the boat, I think. Or really, just the key thing here is make sure you're not the pilot of the boat if you're taking drugs.
One would hope.
Anyways, oh yeah, the Warriors, right. So you got all these gangs, and they all have their little themes and everything like that. So there's this visionary. Really, really early on in the movie, there's this visionary, and he calls all the gangs to meet in the middle of New York, in like an abandoned area, under a truce. He says, "Bring your leader and 8 soldiers." So everybody fucking shows up. Everybody that has any kind of color shows up to this meeting to see what's going on.
The Lobos, the Tranks, the Zip Zops, the Scalawags, the Zippity Doos, the Poon Jobs.
You know how there's the hat from Harry Potter that they put on their head and they get allocated? You would be perfect for in the Warriors world to allocate people to gangs and make gang names.
I imagine that if anyone in the Warriors were sat down for any kind of Harry Potter nonsense, I might name one person and then they'd just shoot the hat.
As long as you name them all to the Warriors, I'm pretty sure you'd be okay.
So this guy wants to call a treaty, like some sort of like a union of all the different gangs, and I assume we're gonna have some sort of Franz Ferdinand type situation because whoever actually runs this crime-ridden, like, hang
on a second. For those of you who think that you are too young to remember the band Franz Ferdinand, you're probably too young to have learned about World War and the fact that Franz Ferdinand's assassination was a trigger.
Oh, yeah, no.
But that's what that reference is to. So we are at this giant meeting truce. All these gangs show up, and Cyrus, our benevolent, wiser than everybody in the world, wiser than thou, seer of a greater future, stands up to talk, and he addresses everybody, and he's like, look at this fucking miracle, like no one's stabbing each other. Alright, he starts doing numbers, he teaches us how to count, he's like, can you count? Because if you can, then you see what I see. It's something like the future is ours if you can count. And everyone's like, oh my god, utter silence. Everybody listen to this guy. And he's like, I see 9 soldiers from every gang out there. And there has to be like 20,000 gangs out there. And so by my count, that's... he's like, that's like 10,000 gangs out there. And I know you have 9 more soldiers at home. And so that makes 20,000 soldiers. It's like, okay, immediately you rounded up heavy and then multiplied wrong. Okay, let's keep going. He's like, and then I bet you have 20 soldiers at home that aren't even wearing colors. So that puts us at 40,000 soldiers. I'm like, okay, these numbers are kind of crazy. He's like, yeah, the police only have 20,000 soldiers out there. If you can do numbers, we rule the city. It's just like, okay, but you can't do numbers, guy. You clearly don't know how to count.
He's doing numbers the way physicists do numbers, which is somewhat acceptable.
Okay, I guess there's an acceptable tolerance of error, margin of error.
Yeah. They have 40,000 within a margin of error of 40,000.
Okay, alright. So we'll give it to him. Cyrus, the king of counting. And then some motherfucker caps Cyrus in the middle of his speech. And he goes down, and now everybody's like, oh my god, what's going on? Panic. Everybody starts panicking, trying to freak out. They're like, who brought a gun? We've all been disarmed. We have to come here unarmed, under peace. Like, who the hell has a gun? And in the chaos, some little psycho dude with like shaggy hair is like, oh, I saw it. They shot him. It was the Warriors. It's them right there, the Warriors. And so suddenly all fingers are pointed at our protagonists who have no idea what's going on.
Oh yeah, so the Warriors are a different, like, I guess they're a small-time faction that doesn't really, like, have a lot of say or something, and that they were just sort of...
Well, the majority of these gangs were tiny factions.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's usually how it goes. If you want to politically assassinate somebody, you want to pick a group of people that's large enough to be politically relevant, but weak enough to where they won't really be able to mount a case in their defense against whatever you say.
Exactly. And so, in this chaos, the warriors don't get to voice their objection. And the police show up.
Oh.
And so now you have... So for the police, anybody who's wearing colors, anyone who's identified as a gang member by their colors, is a criminal and needs to be arrested, period. Just by association. So it's now the 20,000 cops against the 20,000-ish gang members that are present at this peaceful talk.
Yeah, I guess that war happens whether they were planning for it or not.
Yeah, and so the warriors are in this situation where it's like total mayhem, and they're a target to everyone that's not a warrior.
It kind of sounds like the cops orchestrated that whole thing.
I mean, maybe, but the cops are kind of dumb in this. Painted very much, for obvious reasons, as dumb idiots.
No, it's like the real world. They just pretend to be dumb for their convenience. They know exactly what they're doing.
But so we enter this great flee from the crime scene, and we gather a little later in a graveyard, and it's like, okay, let's take account of our guys. And it's like, okay, our warlord's missing. Where is he? I think the only account was like the cops might have nabbed him, but we don't know what fucking happened. We just know he's missing. So what do? Well, second in command now becomes our warlord, right? No, that doesn't work. We have a very typical strong guy, very typically named Ajax, confronts our new war chief Swan, and he's like, you know what? I've been here as long as you. I think I should be the guy. Why should you be the guy? I have as much right as you do. And so starts the first split in our warriors.
Oh, of course.
Then the discussion continues that what's our next step? And the discussion concludes with, we need to get home. We realize that we have every fucking gang in New York gunning for us on the way home. So we have to beat them to the train. If we don't catch the subway before everybody gets to the subway, we're going to have to fight our way home all the way on foot. So there's a mad fucking race now. Our first enemies that we encounter, the fucking baseball furies. Motherfuckers come hopping out of everywhere, dressed up, chasing us. We run through a fucking park. Our group splits up a little bit, and then perfect comedy. Somehow, two of our guys end up running up behind one of the furies, who turns around all confused, like, how the fuck did they get behind us? This like look on his face, like they ran all the way around the world and got up behind me somehow. He goes down easy. Surprisingly, the baseball gang is not athletic. They're not good at running. They're not good at swinging baseball bats. And they're super fragile. I don't understand why, like, the chess team would go pretend to be baseball gang. But wonderful for the Warriors. Wonderful for the Warriors. They knock out like it's like 4 against 9, and they win. And they walk away with a bunch of baseball bats.
Oh, nice.
Then, let's see. We're trying to continue. Our gang gets back together.
You have leveled
I
up and
believe
upgraded
we come into a territory owned by the
Single-player
Orphans,
results.
which is such a small new gang in a very broken part of New York that they're not even recognized. They're not on the map. And this is our first real education in what colors mean in this gang world. So the Warriors walk up on their turf and stop right across the street from entering. The Orphans see this and they huddle up. They make their line to show their force. And then the Warriors show their line, but they're discussing and they're like, well, look, we don't want to have to fight every single person because we're going to have to fight a lot of people. But let's see if we can make it through here without starting a struggle. If they provoke, don't engage. If they fight, we'll defend ourselves. But don't, if they say something, just keep walking. And of course, a lot of our younger boppers are like, yo, what about our pride? What about our colors? We can't just let them mouth off. And it's like, remember the goal. We got to get back we have a turf to get back to. We have to get back. And it's like, all right.
Yes,
Start
I would like to
marching.
make this statement out there. If there's any young men out there who feel like they have anything they have to stand up for pride's sake, or anything, on the line, always use your head. Don't go out there and be a statistic for the government to use against you.
There'll be plenty of times when you're not as outnumbered.
You can put those colors on when you get home.
Well, the approach is going okay at first. The interaction starts. Diplomatics start to get a little shaky. And we seem to settle with them that we're just going to walk through. We're not going to engage. We're not trying to start trouble. And they're not trying to engage with us and get involved in what's happening. So we start walking through. The warriors are going through. Everything's okay. And then one of these, ladies from the neighborhood that's messing around with the gang, getting her hoo-ha tickled by them and shit like that, comes down and she's like, "You're gonna let these guys fly through our turf with their colors?" And they're like, "Oh, please don't do this. We're trying to not start a thing." And she's like, "Nah, that's bad. You can't let it happen." She doesn't say it like that. It's much naggier. I'm just trying not to sound naggy. And she says something else, and then they have to address the whole situation. So the orphans approach the warriors again, and they're like, "Yo, at least have the respect for us to, when you walk through our turf, take off your colors. Take off your vests that identify you as the warriors. You don't have to destroy them, you don't have to do anything, but just take them off. Walk through as civilians." And then we go back to our pride, and it's like, well, no one can ask us to... that's a disrespect to our flag. That's a disrespect to our colors to tell us to take them off. We can't do that.
Yeah,
our rules don't allow it.
They just had that leader guy saying things like how they were the Goonies and now it was their time down there in the slums. The cops couldn't get them.
I mean, the cops cameo. Don't worry. They're everywhere and nowhere important at once. So there's this little sneer off, but they essentially let the warriors walk through
Single player results.
while signaling to gather the crew. So now we know we're on a timer. There's an engagement that's going to happen if we're here too long. So we start traversing. And then Lil Miss Bimbo decides to come follow us. So the warriors take a hiding position in a little alley, and one of them takes a little more obvious position, and she kind of tries to sneak up on him. He turns, grabs her, and the whole crew comes out and is like, "What's going on? What are you doing?" She starts trying to be flirty. They kind of try to show her we're too rough for this, we're too rough for you, or whatever, and she's like, "Nah, I'm into it." And then shit spirals out of control when the enemy gang shows up, all recruited with all of the little boppers, and they're big guys too. But it's okay. Our heroes are smart. They play it. They show a front. They stand united. 8 against fucking 40.
Just like in 300.
And then our current war chief, Swan, gives the cue. And behind him, I forget who it is, I think it's Cochise, lights the Molotov cocktail that they've been carrying around for just this kind of a situation. Chucks it at a car. Mad chase, get out of here. Car explodes just in time, splitting the enemy gang from our heroes. Warriors get to walk out of the town. Just barely. We make it to the subway. Now, the problem with the subway is everybody knows by now the warriors are trying to get out of town on the subway. So every time we encounter the subway from here on out, we're going to encounter a stocked subway, a trap, some gang lurking around the corner or on the other end of the stairs or something like that.
And yet they keep using it?
I mean, it's the fastest, best way out. Otherwise, you have to walk. I think Coney Island is an approximate 100 miles from the original meeting location that they're trying to...
Wait, they're based in Coney Island?
They're based in Coney Island.
Metal.
That's where the scene with the guy with the "come out and play" it happens in Coney Island, right by the Ferris wheel. Yeah. So we come to our first subway station, and if I remember correctly, no, we had a subway station scene already, but the gang didn't all make it at once, so we had to abandon the subway and try to meet up again, and that's where we ran into the Furies. So the second time they get to the subway, they the cops show up, and they have a small little scuffle with the cops, but everything comes to a standstill as I forget which one of the warriors starts fighting with one of the cops as the subway's coming, and they fall into a tumble, and as the the subway's coming to where it's gonna stop, the cop is on the bottom of the tumble and he chucks one of our heroes into the subway's tracks, and we lose one of our heroes right there. So now we're down to 7. We're missing our original war chief, Cleon, and now we're missing another. I forget which one of the heroes passed with the subway, but everybody in shock kind of stops fighting, gets on the subway, and makes an escape from the police to our second subway transit, where we get off the subway, but we've already escaped a lot of situations. But like I said, every subway stop intersection is gonna be riddled with gang members now, and we run into our rollerblade gang with the fucking overalls.
I'm sorry, every time I just imagine, the Children of the Corn, but it's Xanadu.
Oh!
Single player results.
That's another good movie we should do. But these guys are good. There's this level of stupidity and perversion to the rollerblade gang. They chase everybody through the subway station. We end up in a bathroom stall. Our whole 7 remaining gang members makes it into the bathroom stall, and there just happens to be 7 bathroom stalls in the bathroom, and everybody gets one. And almost in Scooby-Doo fashion, our rollerblade gang enters the bathroom, and the leader of them rolls around in front of the stalls, okay, all right, I see what's going on, and then he does a backwards rollerblade move, and now he's gliding backwards, and he crouches real low and looks under all the stalls and sees no feet, and then he gets to the end of the last stall, and then he's all right, and so he takes out his knife, opens it up, and his switchblade, and opens it up, and then he walks up to the first stall, and then you see in all the stalls the warrior's feet come down. And then they he opens the stall under artist warrior Rembrandt, and spray paints him in the face, and all the doors get kicked open, a fucking battle in the stall happens, and then somehow once again, just like the Furies, these guys were not as strong as they seemed. Somehow again, a lot of these guys with knives get punched in the face just once and go down.
I mean, we can assume almost all of them are deeply malnourished.
Yeah. What else happens here? I feel like I skipped one gang. Yeah, I skipped the Fem gang.
That's fine. So did history.
People can enjoy the Fem gang when they watch the movie.
I just feel like it's there specifically for those people to enjoy it and has no real bearing on the actual plot. Tell me more about the Fem gang.
I believe somewhere around 12 bullets are shot from a revolver in the Fem gang scenario, and 0 of them hit any of their marks, and there is no reloading sequence. Just this 6-chambered revolver happens to fire off 12 shots. In the scene, I believe our warriors are, including Rembrandt, whom isn't really a fighter. He's the 16-year-old that was recruited at the beginning of the movie to tag enemy turf with the warrior symbol. Not enemy, rival turf. So he's not really a fighter or anything like that. This Fem gang seduces the warriors to follow them up to their apartment lounge or whatever. They go up there. The 2 older warriors are whoa, ladies. And they're yeah, take your pick. Let's get down and nasty. And they're whoa, ladies. And they go with them. While the youngster's looking around all suspicious. And, he's clearly not into girls yet. He's always saying shit come on, man, we got girls at home. We don't need this. There's plenty of ladies back where we're from.
He's right.
Oh, yeah.
He's not thinking with his dick. And that's the only thing that that Fem gang has to its, That's the only power that femme gang has, is the idea that their pussy can somehow control these other gangs.
I mean, but if you judge their sexual ability or inability, either way works, by how the two ladies dancing in this sequence are dancing, it looks like one of them's just kind of shaking a little violently.
That's
Small
just the
shakes,
withdrawal.
small violent shakes. And then the other one's just kind of like almost doing the Elaine dance, but without the ankle twist from the Elaine from Seinfeld dance. Where, they look really unattractive and awkward. But true to historic fashion. When a femme gang tries to get a bunch of males into a room, all of them suddenly pull out knives. They lock the door, start pulling out knives. Rembrandt's like, "Oh, guys!" But it's too late. There's already a gun in play by the time he yells. And
It's always too late by the time that you wise up to it. That's why you just never go in there in the first place.
We have a couple of open hand slaps from the gentlemen onto the ladies. A couple of barrel rolls done. Maybe a duck and dive. And then a punch of a gun out of a hand. And then some escaping.
As you do.
And that was our adventure with the femme gang. They were up to the no good that they were projected to be up to. No surprises.
Typical.
No surprises. But fast forward.
Yeah,
back
I was gonna say, I want to find out about these warriors. Do they make it back to Coney Island?
So we're gonna fast forward back to the escape from the subway. We've fended off the rollerbladers. We load onto our last subway, where we have a weird little scene where some prom school kids get on there, and they look at us. Oh, and by the way, the little Puerto Rican or whatever chick from the orphans area followed us here. We picked up a Pokemon we could not get rid of. She followed us all the way here. Some prom queen can get on there, and they look at us judgingly. And Swan, our main hero here, like scolds at them back, and then they all start shaking nervously to get awkward to get off the subway. We get off the subway, and it looks like we're on our final stretch. We recognize home. And as we're approaching, like, the sounds of Coney Island and our Ferris wheel and everything like that, the motherfucker who shot Cyrus, driving around in a car, screaming at the top of his lungs, "Warriors, come out to play!" Clanging the famous 3 beer bottles on his fingers together. And so we, like, duck for cover and we huddle up and we're like, what are we gonna do? How do we handle this? It's like, man, we can't leave him alone. This is our turf. He's here on our turf. We finish this now. And so we have a fucking beachfront duel. Everybody comes up to the beachfront, the remaining warriors. So what are we at? I don't remember if we're at 7 or 6. I think we might have lost one more along the way. Our remaining warriors, not even with the force that's back at the base, we never stopped at HQ against the entirety of these Weasley assholes that are trying to frame us. And in the middle, as the fight's about to start, motherfucker pulls a gun on us. And he's gonna shoot us, and he does the typical villain, tells his whole plot when he's holding us at fucking gunpoint, reveals his whole fucking plot, that he's the one who framed us, he planned it from the beginning, and we're all gonna die, and he's gonna make sure of it.
Why?
And
What's his motivation?
Well, there's a video game that hopefully we'll play called The Warriors.
I guess now we have
the whole prequel is explained about all these characters.
Okay.
But yeah, he pulls the gun on us, and as he's gonna pull the trigger, our hero Swan dashes to the right, throws his fucking pocket knife, nails the fucker in the hand, forcing him to drop the gun, and before any other action can happen, Cyrus's second in command, the new war chief of the strongest gang in New York, is standing there with his entire force, the biggest gang.
Single player results.
And they heard as this guy confessed to everything. And so we end having restored the name of the Warriors and gaining the respect of every single gang in New York because we won. We marched back to Coney Island And despite everyone, including the fucking radio DJ with her sexy voice, turning all of New York and the police against us, we end with her apologizing. Just saying, sorry.
Sorry, I labeled you as public enemy number 1, but we're cool, right?
This song's for you, Warriors. Motherfucker. And 80s ballad outro credits.
Wow. The thing is that I just feel like so swept up by it. I'm gonna have to go watch it now. I've known about the bottle clinking part, but I've never actually seen the movie before, and I feel like I'm missing out on
It captures such a beautiful part of cinematography as an art form, because when you watch the movie, if you look at anything nowadays and you think about the lighting that's set up to catch film, as opposed to when you watch The Warriors and 100% natural lighting is used, some dude lived in New York and went to all those places throughout his life. And then when they were filming the movie, knew where to be, when to be, to film these shots. When you film these, like when you watch the movie, some of these shots are like in a sunset. You only get one take. The sun won't rewind back to, a lot of these shots are you only get 5 minutes. And then the entire scenery's gone. So yeah, there's so much to appreciate about it. I hope everybody checks it out. There's such good 70s music from there and stuff. So
it's 70s?
I mean, it 70s, 80s, right around there.
Oh, okay.
Right around there.
Okay. Well, all right then. This has been another exciting fish tale, a film tale with the Master of Ceremonies. Until next time.
Adieu, folks. Catch y'all next time.
Come out and play.